I'm Barbara Lucas, and welcome to the Green Room, where we explore the environmental topics that green up our world. Today we'll be talking about safety on our roadways, not just for drivers, but for walkers and bicyclists too. Our guest is Nate Phipps, board member of the nonprofit organization Common Cycle. Nate, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much.
So I see here Common Cycle is 6 years old, and your volunteers help bicyclists in Ann Arbor to fix their bikes by providing tools and maintenance classes. So you do education, right?
We do, yeah. We run a mobile repair stand every Sunday between April and October at the Artisans Market in Carytown, and we also do 6-week maintenance classes twice a year.
Beautiful, okay. So you're obviously an advocate for bicycle safety, but you're also a driver and a walker. So your experience as a person who walks and bicycles, how does that affect your behavior behind the wheel?
Yeah, so I often do all three in a day. The thing that it helps you realize is what it's like to be a cyclist around drivers. But what you also get is a perspective as a driver being around cyclists, and it sort of helps to have sort of an empathy. I think people would do well to sort of better understand the experience of the other people on the roadways.
And it's good to kind of remember that we all want to save lives. Nobody wants any roadway fatalities, and that's a objective of the Vision Zero campaign, which the City Council of Ann Arbor has adopted. Mm-hmm. How can cyclists and walkers actually help the drivers, like for instance with visibility, so they can see us?
Yeah, I mean, that should be the starting point. We need to see each other before we can make better decisions around one another. So starting with a powered front light, a white light in the front and a red powered light in the back is a great way to start to be seen on the roadways.
Okay. And would you recommend the rechargeables or?
Yeah, I recommend to start with just a good quality light, front and back. That can be rechargeable or battery powered. There's advantages to both, but really just something that will last and that you'll remember.
Maybe a combination so you don't
yes.
run out.
That's a good
all of
idea.
a sudden.
I always have an extra in my bag.
Mm-hmm. I got my helmet here. I wanted to point out we've got just regular bike lights that I put on, white for front and red for rear. But my husband has a helmet that he really loves that's got the white light and the red one embedded into it. Those are really handy. Because I've heard that 3/4 of the fatalities occur when it's dark out, either when it's bad weather or night.
Yeah, and being visible at night is really important. Lights are a great way to accomplish that, but you need to remember them, of course. So having them attached to your helmet is a great way to do that.
How about reflectors?
Yeah, so a lot of bikes come with reflectors when you buy them. If not, you can add them. It's a good backup, and it also often provides side visibility. So visibility front and rear is with the lights, and then you might have reflectors on your wheels or something, some other place on your bike that gives you side visibility.
I love my spoke reflectors. They're so easy to put on. They're really cheap.
Yeah.
And I love my ankle straps, backpack that has reflective. Either you can clip on reflective or clip on a light. What about clothing?
Yeah, so a lot of clothing, athletic clothing especially, comes with sort of reflective elements, and you can often buy casual clothing. This sweater, for instance, has a patch on the back that's reflective, and backpacks, even non-cycling stuff now has a lot of sort of reflective elements, or you can add them.
So the cities I've been in where I feel safe as a cyclist have been where behavior is predictable. So how can cyclists be more predictable in their behavior?
I think signaling your intentions is important, just like you would in a car, using your arms to signal which direction you're going to be moving, whether it's taking a turn or just moving into the roadway, and also not weaving in between cars. Most of the time, a bike can really act just like a car, and that's the best way to be predictable.
Yeah, and nowadays with all this distracted driving, the cell phone use, we really can't assume they see us. I've heard we should try to get eye contact with the drivers.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great way with any mode of transport to sort of confirm people's decisions.
Yeah. And as a driver, when you're passing a bicyclist, how far away should you be?
Yeah, so again, I've had experience on both sides of this, and when you're riding a bike, it can be quite scary when a car passes you very close. So 3 feet is generally the starting point, and if states do have laws for safe passing, it usually starts at 3 feet. I know Grand Rapids is the only place in the state that has a safe passing law, and they have a 5-foot passing law, which is really generous, and any cyclist would really like to have that 5 feet. It can feel quite still unsafe at 3 feet.
And where should a cyclist be, generally speaking?
Yeah, so
if there's no bike lane.
If there's no bike lane, generally being sort of where that right wheel of the car would be tracking is usually safe. It keeps you sort of out of cars' way, but it also keeps you away from debris and parked cars, which can be quite dangerous.
Yeah, what's the problem with parked cars mostly?
Yeah, so parked cars can often turn into an open door very quickly if somebody has just parked or has been fiddling around, and that can be, it's called getting doored, and it's a very dangerous thing when you're a cyclist to be close enough that somebody could actually clip you with their door, put you in the roadway, or you could just run smack into their door, which is really, really bad.
Yeah. Yeah, it reminds me, in Germany, I think it's where I heard that in their driver's training, they teach you to reach over your body to open the car door, so you're forced to turn around and look behind.
Yeah, you should always clear to the left or to the right when you're getting out of the car, taxis, anything like that.
Driver's training reminds me of the Nathan Bauer Act. What's that?
Yeah, so basically it's mandates that bicycle and motorcycle awareness should be integrated into driver's ed training, which just makes good sense.
Yeah, sure does. Let's talk about crosswalks. We all know that drivers need to yield to walkers or cyclists in a crosswalk, but is that just where there's signage?
So really it's anywhere where there's a sign, a marking on the road. It's really the driver's responsibility to stop and allow people who are intending to cross, and that's predictability. Pedestrians should be using the crosswalk. That's another way to be predictable. People shouldn't be darting out in between cars halfway through the block.
Yeah, I guess most accidents occur at mid-block, which...
It's unexpected.
Yeah, exactly. And what's the danger when there's two cars that you need to worry about when you're crossing?
Yeah, so often one car will stop at a crosswalk and allow a pedestrian to go, but if another car doesn't see that pedestrian, it may not understand why that car is stopped and continue through the crosswalk, and that can be very dangerous when the pedestrian thinks they have the right of way. So really everybody needs to just be a little more aware of what's happening, especially at those situations.
And don't assume anything.
Yes.
Get that eye contact.
Yeah.
And as a driver, we need to slow down in neighborhoods where we might encounter a crosswalk. Yeah. Okay, and how about responsibilities of bicyclists on things like shared use paths? Who has the right of way there?
Right, so when people are being predictable, all things equal, drivers should yield to cyclists and walkers, and cyclists should yield to pedestrians. So on a sidewalk, which is a shared space, cyclists really do need to yield to pedestrians. So it doesn't always mean walking your bike. You could stay on your bike, alert people to your presence, go around them on the left, announce yourself, really any way that allows both sort of types of transport to sort of coexist.
So with a bell, or how else can you do it?
You can say on your left, you should pass on the left. It's another way to be predictable.
The pedestrians have a responsibility not to be wearing headphones, because if they can't hear you approaching.
Yeah.
One of the tenets of Vision Zero is that people are unpredictable and humans are flawed and they do crazy things, and you know, somebody will be on a walk and suddenly they see a flower they want to go after, and you know, so you need to approach them slowly enough. You know, they talk a lot about cars needing to slow down. Well, I say sometimes the cyclists need to slow down too.
Especially in dense areas. Sidewalks would be a primary example.
Yeah. Okay, so we have covered a lot in a short amount of time, but we're out of time now. So how can we get more information?
Sure, so I'll plug the organization I'm involved with, Common Cycle, commoncycle.org. We have a Facebook page that's very active. The Washtenaw Bicycling and Walking Coalition has a webpage, wbwc.org, and a Facebook page, and then the League of Michigan Bicyclists is a great resource for bicyclists in the state.
And they have this wonderful booklet about what every Michigan cyclist should know.
Yeah, it's a great way to start.
Great. Well, thank you so much for being here today. It's been really informative.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
For an online archive of today's show, go to ewashtenaw.org/greenroom. Thanks for joining us here in the Green Room.